Montre walked in with this plaque, and I guess it speaks to that a little bit, but this plaque came from a big fan of Linkin Bridge, and it says that if we can change the world through our music, then here we are.
Man.
Would you say that speaks to Linkin Bridge?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean,
what you said.
That was what we felt like. Even going on the show, we're like, even if we don't win this, we want to change some people's train of thought. We don't want people looking at us a certain way, or looking at black people in general a certain way just because of how they look.
Or anyone that is going through poverty, or it's social problems and stuff. Just because you don't have doesn't mean I'm out to get you.
Right. Right. And would you say some of that, and we don't have to go as in depth to the backgrounds, but growing up in poverty, I grew up in poverty, you guys grew up in poverty. Growing up in that, would you say some of that comes through in your music, just through the emotion? I know there's a lot of emotion coming through on America's Got Talent.
We sing with all our hearts and soul because we came from nothing.
Right.
And you want something.
And you
want a greater you want greater things in life. You want to be great at what you do. You love the music, so you pour your heart and soul into it because the passion is there because of how we grew up. We grew up with nothing, and that music is a symbol of us fighting to get out of where we came from to where we are now and where we will be in the future.
Plus, I have to add, what everyone's heard is only a fraction of what we have gone through. Yeah. Only a fraction. So stay tuned. Because there's a lot more to come.
And it's not just a financial. It's not just a financial pain that you're hearing. Like, we came from nothing. It's also generational in the sense that the emotional impact that our lives had. With Sean's, parental situation and March's parental situation, some of my situation, all came as a result of not having, a generational thing. So a lot of our parents couldn't be there. A lot of parents didn't know how to be what they should have been toward us, and then that caused some emotional things and caused us to do certain things that we probably wouldn't have done had that structure been in place. So it's a result of generations of things that's coming out of us when we sing. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly, yeah.
And it's also the love. I mean, growing up in Louisville, there aren't any record companies, or you go out LA or Atlanta or the bigger cities, and it's a record company on every corner. So in Louisville, it was just the passion of wanting to sound good, and you surround yourself around talented people, and to get gratification from people who are extremely talented. Like, that was my main thing. I just want to be as good as the best person. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, just the love of music and wanting to be considered one of the best, I think that was one of the things that drove me to want to be the best. And these guys, I haven't known Echo as long as everybody else, but when I heard these guys as children, I wanted to be as good as these guys. I can honestly say that. So,
and would you say you all received, I think you did, confirmation of that with America's Got Talent? Because you stood there with the best of the best. And you had Simon Cowell, you had
Simon Cowell, come on, man. You get it from him?
Yeah, I think we knew. We just and you always, I think that's one thing about doing this type of thing, is when you bring your ideas and your talents to the table, you yourself, you hope that it's good enough, but you never really know.
Right.
And so to hear from one of the hardest critics on the planet, it was justified. Like, man, we knew, but we didn't know if the same type of if they were going to receive it like we wanted them to, and they did. So, man. Long time coming, man.
Definitely.
That meant a lot.
Yeah. Man.
It meant everything.
March's whole goal was that. March's whole goal was, you know what?
Like if
we can get in front of Simon.
If we can get in front of Simon and he accepts us, then we know that it's solid. We've solidified it.
If I can make Simon man, when they stood up,
it was crazy.
I think we was all cried out, but at the same time, I almost cried together. Like,
right. Yeah. And so Over the Rainbow, you come out, of course, and the song blows everybody away. Talk to me about, because I'm using that as a teachable moment constantly in the classroom now. But talk to me about why it's so important to break down those stereotypes and cultural biases. Because when you walked on that stage, there was definitely a stereotype there, and there was some bias toward you until you started singing. So why is it important to break that down? Why is it important to tear down those stereotypes and biases that are out there?
Man, everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves, I mean, maybe not love. I mean, you want to emphasize love, but everybody's not going to love everybody. But it's a respect thing, man. And you know what? Give me an opportunity, give me an opportunity to prove whether or not, I'm a jerk or whatever the case may be. Just off top, don't look at me and be like, oh man, he look like he's up to no good. Give me a chance and, let me prove it. You know what I'm saying?
Not to dismiss you from the start.
Exactly.
You never know how important or how valuable somebody is until they get a chance to show you. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just for stereotypes between black and white. That's also stereotypes between men and women. Like a lot of times, women aren't given certain opportunities because they're women. You know what I'm saying? So we need to break that down too, because I know some women that can do some better things on a marketing standpoint, financial standpoint, a lot of different fronts that normally would be a man's arena. You know what I mean? But she's not given that opportunity because she's a woman, and ain't even given the chance to even talk because you know what I'm saying. So we have to tear that down so we can see which ones in our communities have the answers for our problems.
And that's one of the things that Claremont Lincoln University tries to do. We believe we have an answer for that. We're about tearing down stereotypes, assumptions, and we have primarily in our leadership, it's not only a diverse leadership, but primarily women, which is almost unheard of in higher education. I mean, we put people in places there at Claremont. It's diverse. It's a mosaic of beauty. That's what I call it. And so your music really speaks to that tearing down of every cultural stereotype you could probably think of. And I want to deal with this really quickly as well. So growing up on the west end of Louisville, now you made it to the national stage, the global stage. What have been some of your experiences up until this point, or even with this point, with assumptions and stereotypes? I guess you could say within the city, or just things that you've come across in your careers.
I'll go first with that.
Yeah, sure.
And it might sound surprising, but I'm black, I'm tall. Everybody assumed I should have been playing sports.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're a black man, you come out of West End, you should be playing sports. Why aren't you playing sports? But because I was in the music thing, I got shunned for that. Like, what you that's sissy, don't do that. You should be playing football, you should be playing basketball. To me, that was a stereotype.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I faced.
They put you in a box.
Yeah.
And he's terrible in basketball.
Yeah,
Terrible.
and he's not even good.
I can't even play the video game
I saw
basketball.
some videos. You sinking 3-pointers, Rome. So okay, you play a little bit. Yeah,
He's terrible.
But you know what I'm saying?
not good. Right. They just assume that.
Just assume like you shoot hoops? Nah, man, I play the piano.
He does not shoot hoops.
Get out of here. You know?
Was there ever on the opposite end? Was there ever an assumption for you guys that, oh, you must sing or you must be in the entertainment field? Did you ever get that?
No.
On the opposite side? No. Nobody assumed that?
No.
Well,
I was a rapper.
Yeah, being at AGT.
I mean, that was
Sitting
he's
in
talking
the
about coming
ground.
out of West End though.
And coming out of West End of Louisville, I'm grimy.
Well,
I'm supposed to be street.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No one even knows that I used to teach. I taught music for like 9 years,
Yeah.
and I was working with inner city youth. But because of the outward image or just being from the West End, I'm this guy that's supposed to be this gangster. I'm getting picked on by narcotic officers and stuff. I'm being picked on, and I don't have a drug record. I don't have this and that. I don't have any felonies. But because I look a certain way, I'm this guy that's supposed to be up to something where I'm being followed and harassed. I've been harassed countless times. So even now it's...
But dude aspired to be an astronaut that whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, I wanted, like he said, I'm trying to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Because of my cousin Montri, instead of trying to go to the stars, I end up trying to be a star.
Right.
But but all this time growing up, I'm in the projects, trying to be an astronaut. But instead, I was looked at like.
Right.
You know what, man? A lot of people, for some reason, A lot of people assume that I've been to prison.
This is Big Rome talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
why do they assume that?
You know, why I'm just, you know, I could be, you know, the neighborhood that we from, you know. Hey, so where'd you do time at, bro? And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I guess what? Because I try to, you know, lift weights and try to stay in decent shape. I look like I'm Tukey Williams or something like that. So,
You look like you went to prison.
see what I'm saying?
To everyone listening, we did arm wrestle and I won. It's not on video, but that happened. That did happen.
The girl beat you last night?
No, the doctor is fibbing right now.
But I want to
beat you.
But this is his show. He can.
But I want to say
Mind
something.
you,
This is my treat. When I was younger, one of my best friends was white, and he took me to his house one day, and I don't even know if he knew the racism that was in his family. But I remember he introduced me to his mom, and she didn't even, like, when he introduced me to her, she didn't even speak to me. She walked into the other room and she called him to the back, and I could hear her. I could still hear her. I was sitting in the front, and I heard her tell him, "How dare you bring that nigger into our home?"
Wow.
And he's like, "What?" And then she was like, "You brought him here, and now he's gonna steal all our stuff."
Wow.
And
you'd never met this woman before.
I had never met his mom before, but he was such a good person.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that from his mother.
Right.
Because I thought maybe he had some good parents because he was a good guy.
Right.
And he actually cussed his mom out and came back up front and was like, "Let's go." And then he just kept apologizing. "I'm so sorry, man, that you had to hear that. I'm sorry. I didn't even know that my mom was like that. But this is the first time I brought somebody black into my house."
Wow.
And he was like, "You're one of the best guys I know, and I know that you wouldn't steal anything from us." He said, I'm just so sorry that my mom, and that really hurt. It really hurt because I didn't expect that.
Right.
So that was a stereotype in itself, and I couldn't believe it at the time. So and I was just a teenager. I was like maybe 15.
And that's why it's so important to have those experiences you mentioned with your friend. He had the experience with you, and his mom obviously didn't have positive experiences or didn't have any experience at all with African Americans. So she had assumptions. She already had some stereotype in play. But he knew you. Your friend knew you and knew that didn't matter whatsoever. Yeah. So, Sean?
You're right. You're right. It's ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And what you don't know, I mean, how can you blame somebody? They don't know. So you can't build up this resentment towards someone that doesn't know.
Right.
Instead, show them.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Show them.
I think these fellas
show them beauty.
taught me that being in Linkin Bridge because of what I perceived Leonard Skinner stood for. I mean, to be honest, I'm being honest. And these guys were like, "Man, we're on the move, man."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And how can we preach this and then we don't have you aboard? You know what I'm saying? And when I finally, out of all the times that we rehearsed and did it over and over again, I received a revelation when I finally seen it on TV. And I was like, this is what it's really about, man. Right. So being in Linkin Bridge taught me the same thing, man.
We actually, I want to say this, I'm sorry. We actually lost a gig because of the fact that we did that song.
Well,
Really?
We had a gig set up, and they canceled the gig after we performed Freebird on television.
Wow.
we believe that was why, but we don't know for sure.
They were just against the group, you're thinking?
We don't know.
The exact words were after Somewhere of the Rainbow, they wanted us to be they wanted us to do that show. After we did Freebird, they felt as though we weren't the type of group for them.
Wow.
But we don't know exactly why.
Yeah. That's a shame. Because they really missed out.
They did.
Because you guys really.
You have to say this. You have to follow that. Bless their heart.
Yeah, bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. They just didn't know. That's wonderful, though, and especially you speaking about stereotypes and the assumptions and everything that comes across. One of the things that we're trying to do with Claremont Lincoln University is to educate law enforcement too. That number one, obviously, don't judge a book by its cover, but how do we resolve a lot of these issues? And I believe in part that comes through education.
Absolutely.
Because
That's right.
you know, they recruit officers from all different walks of life, but a lot of times it's rural communities, and you might be the only African American they've ever seen or interacted with, and they have no idea what culture's about. They have no idea. All they know is maybe what they saw on TV. And that's what I love about your music, is it's really tearing that down. They're seeing a whole other side of what's possible, what can be. And truthfully, even like with your concert last night, they're seeing love come forth. And I'll say on that, it was a beautiful thing to see an entire audience, pretty much, of a whole different demographic.
Absolutely.
Cheering you on, excited, blowing kisses. I mean, loving what you guys were doing. And clearly, they came from a whole different world. So it was a beautiful thing to see.